I've said it before and I'll say it again. Put this man in the Hall of Fame right now. The Clippers have lost 3 straight. They had a 19-point lead in Phoenix at the start of the fourth quarter and couldn't hold it. Phoenix fought back to pull out a 119-117 win. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Who cares about the black community in Altadena? We do. On Saturday, March 8th at 10 a.m., it's the premiere of Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr. This new weekly show will explore the deep roots and resilience of Altadena's black community as we track its recovery and reimagine its future. From relief efforts to rebuilding, we're raising up voices, stories, and solutions to build back Black Altadena better and stronger than ever. It's Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr, every Saturday at 10 a.m. beginning Saturday, March 8th, with an encore presentation, Sundays at noon.
James Farr, the man who is the voice for Black Los Angeles.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me. Back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavissmileyshow.com. That's thetavissmileyshow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, University of Minnesota professor Elon Werman on his provocative and controversial op-ed for the New York Times, Trump may have a case on birthright citizenship. I suspect Professor Werman and I will also talk more broadly about the role of the courts in monitoring Donald Trump's executive power. Look forward to that conversation in hour 2. In our third hour, 3 conversations. Up first, a quick check-in with Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen, who had a seat inside the Capitol Circus last night. Then we'll talk to Deans Jewel Madu and Zalika Landrum from the Washburn Culinary Institute at Kennedy King College about black folk and the state of the culinary industry today. And then we'll talk to the Reverend Dr. William Barber, who gave an alternative address last evening. Full disclosure, you will recall from the first hour of yesterday's program, I expressed my concerns about folk telling us to tune out Trump and turn on Barber. I say again today, I love me some William Barber, but I'm still standing where I was yesterday, so it should be a fascinating conversation with Dr. Barber on the backside of hour 3. In love, sometimes you have to fight with your friends, and we'll talk to Barber about his alternative address in the last hour of today's program. And speaking of friends and brothers beloved, let's unpack the drama of last night in this first hour with the renowned scholar, former independent candidate for president, co-author of the book Truth Matters, a dialogue on fruitful disagreement in an age of division, and of course the co-host of the unapologetically progressive radio program Truth Time. Delighted always to be in conversation with Dr. Cornel West. Hey Doc, how are you, sir?
Oh, Brother Tavis, my dear brother. You know I'm always blessed and full of joy and in dialogue with you, my brother.
I look forward to this full hour. There's a whole lot to unpack. Let me just jump right in. I have some sound from last night's circus that I will likely play as we move through this hour and, for that matter, through today's show. But let me just start with your overarching thoughts about, as I termed it, the Capitol Circus last night. It was a spectacle, if ever there was one. Just take a few minutes and tell me what you saw last night.
Well, what I saw was the wholesale gangsterization of America in process, just like we're witnessing the decline and decay of the American empire. The level of spiritual emptiness and moral decay was just so overwhelming, because when you listen to what he had to say, he couldn't say a mumbling word about poverty, couldn't say a mumbling word about the homeless, couldn't say a mumbling word about 60% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, couldn't say a mumbling word about unbelievable attacks on Black people, with claiming that DEI is responsible for a plane's landing. When you say DEI, you really mean me and you and Jamal and Letitia and Clifton and Cynthia and Cheryl. You see, it was just overwhelming. And then to see it so normalized and naturalized, man, the smiles on people's faces, thinking that somehow he's speaking the truth, when the level of lies hiding the crimes were unbelievable. You know, from a vantage point of a Black freedom fighter, you say to yourself, you know, the country began by gangsterizing indigenous peoples and Black peoples. And when he looks for America's greatness, he wants to go back to those moments when we had such wholesale gangsterization of Black peoples and poor peoples, working people, trade unions. He's crazy about President McKinley. McKinley, of course, was responsible for 500,000 people being killed in the Philippines, U.S. soldiers responsible for not saying a mumbling word about lynching, not saying a mumbling word about Jim Crow and Jane Crow, not saying a mumbling word about working people engaging in collective bargaining. So it's a sad thing to see this level of organized crime and weaponized hatred and institutionalized indifference toward the vulnerable. But they all come together, and we see those chickens coming home to roost in a very, very in a spectacle. I like your word for that. You call it a circus, right?
Yeah, circus.
But you can see all of the elements there, and you say to yourself, my God, there's been 70 empires since the beginning of the human species. United States is number 68, and every empire comes and goes. And it comes and goes because of overwhelming greed, impotence of citizens, military overreach, and most importantly, you know, my brother, the inability of even most of the media. And this is why what you're doing is so crucial. And that's why I'm blessed with Sister Nina Turner to be part of your lineup, that most Americans can no longer gain access to the best of the country and who they are. So that the Martin Kings and Fannie Lou Hamers and A. Philip Randolphs and Ida B. Wellses and Rabbi Heschels and others, they are so pushed to the margin, all you see are the gangsters. And then you have the hollow, shallow response of the Democratic Party. He's sitting up there, these little signs and, oh, please.
Yeah.
I was with Brother Al from Texas.
Yeah.
You got to allow your righteous indignation to come out, or just have a massive a boycott of the lecture and call for a general strike. We're reaching the point now where if there's not massive opposition, brother, the gangsterization is running amok. And by gangsterization, I mean basically, you know, fascist rule.
Yeah.
You talk about law and order, but you exemplify lawlessness and disorder. You talk about the precious Black brother. That was a beautiful moment, just seeing him with his father holding him up. But you're cutting the funds that made it possible for his cancer to be addressed in the way that it is. We can go on lying about the Social Security in order to attack Social Security. All the facts come out. Ain't no 350-year-old people. That's like our Haitian brothers and sisters eating
the cats,
eating animals, and so forth. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
All the levels of lies and mendacity tied to crimes and criminality, and of course, not a word about genocide and ethnic cleansing. He already committed 2 war crimes from the Oval Office, calling for ethnic cleansing pushing all the Palestinians out, and then saying we're going to take the land and turn it into Trump Gaza. I mean, those are war crimes right there from the Oval Office. That's the kind of gangsterization that we're seeing, my brother.
And that's just his opening statement. It's gonna be a great hour with Dr. Cornel West unpacking the spectacle last night. He mentioned Al Green. We'll talk about the Democratic response. Al Green walked out. He's from Houston, but it's even worse than that. Sylvester Turner, the former mayor of Houston, who just took over the seat a few months ago that Sheila Jackson Lee had when she passed away, he died last night. Sylvester Turner, member of Congress, was in the hall. After that speech, went to the hospital and died. I make not light of this. I'm sending my condolences out, but it must have killed Sylvester Turner last night. I mean, it was quite a night. Just getting started with Cornel West on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking.
That's what we do around here.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
I'm at the movies, asking people if they'll switch seats with me for $574.
Here, take mine.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
Too much work.
Not if you call them. They handle the switching.
Now, that's a plot twist.
Shh. Check Allstate first, and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
Slow it down. Get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to announce that like George and Weezy, earlier this year, we were named a semi-finalist for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Wait for it. Wait for it.
You ready?
KBLA Talk 1580 was recently selected as one of 10 finalists being considered for this prestigious award. Hundreds of organizations, institutions, and even cities were nominated in the selection process. But KBLA Talk 1580 has made it to the finals. You're invited to watch live on Wednesday, April 16th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, as Eco America announces the winner and the runner-up, awarding over $200,000 in prize money. To watch live, just go to ecoamerica.org to register and attend the online ceremony. That's ecoamerica.org. Don't miss the presentation of the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025, Wednesday, April 16th, and wish us luck. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black. More honesty than you can handle.
More empowerment than you can imagine.
You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Dr. Cornel West talking about the spectacle, the Capitol Circus last night that we witnessed. Doc is right. We are witnessing in real time the decay of our civilization, the devolution of our culture. It was a sad night last night in this country as far as we are concerned. You heard Doc reference earlier Al Green. So Al Green, no, not that Al Green, the other Al Green. Al Green, the congressman out of Houston, stood up last night and waved his cane at President Trump and told him, "You do not have a mandate." That was his statement. You do not have a mandate, and certainly not a mandate to mess with Medicaid and Medicare. You don't have a mandate for that. Now, I want you to watch this right quick. Watch this. As a matter of fact, I should probably pull some sound of this, but y'all will recall this is a very bright audience. So go back a few years, 2009 to be exact, when a white congressman stands up in the middle of Obama's speech and yells out, "You lie!" Y'all remember that? Called Obama a liar to his face. I want you to pull that clip. I want you to pull the clip today when you get a chance. You can do it right now if you're stationary. Pull the clip and look who is seated behind Barack Obama when this white congressman calls him a liar to his face. The first black president. Obama's elected in 2008. This happens in like February 2009. He hadn't even learned his way to the bathroom yet in the White House. He makes his first address to Congress, and they call him a liar to his face. Seated behind Barack Obama are Joe Biden, president of the Senate, as his vice president, and Nancy Pelosi, who was Speaker of the House. Do you see where I'm going with this? The Democrats sat on their hands when they controlled the White House, the House, and the Senate. And Nancy Pelosi did not have him escorted out. He stayed there for the rest of the speech. You got that audio? Find that audio of this guy calling you. Y'all heard it. I'm just going to remind you of it. So what happens last night when Al Green stands up with his cane? He didn't call the president a liar. He just said, "You are lying. You ain't got no mandate. You don't have a mandate." And what did Mike Johnson do? He summarily, quickly, put another way, sooner than right now and quicker than at once. Sooner than right now and quicker than at once, they got Al Green up out of that joint. But Democrats didn't do that. See, this is the stuff that drives me insane about these spineless, milquetoast Democrats and the way they operate or don't. They ran Al Green out. What clip do you have? Which one do we have up here? Which one is this one? Which one you got first? Who is this? All right. So just to remind you, I'm sorry, Doc. I just want to make this point right quick here. Play the Obama clip from 2009.
There are also those who claim that our reform efforts would ensure illegal immigrants. This too is false. The reforms I'm proposing would not apply to those who are here illegally. It's not true.
That's enough. That's enough. He said, "You lie." Everybody said, "Woo!" And that's all you got was woo. But that ain't what happened last night, Dr. West. They ran Al Green up out of there, Doc. Your turn.
I know though, brother. You know, there is a connection between the Al Green who stood up and spoke with tremendous power last night and the Al Green born Forest City, Arkansas, who's a genius because he had an album called Full of Fire.
That's right.
And that Al Green from Texas, when he stood up, he was full of fire. He was on fire for poor people, defending poor people and saying you don't have a mandate to cut the programs for poor people. He could have been pointing at Musk too, but Musk is an extension of what Trump is doing too. The first thing that they're doing is going at the most vulnerable people, poor people, black people, the elderly, the children, and so forth. And so I'm with you though, brother.
Yeah.
But what happens with the Democrats? Oh my God, they're just so hollow and shallow and cowardly. They want to play the game. But never forget, my dear brother Tavis, that fascism is the product of a decaying liberalism. And when your liberalism gets commodified, when the money takes over, when your big business and big billionaires take over your party and you get commodified liberalism, you end up with a hate-driven fascism because fascism already has the billionaires. They already have the big money. They already have the extension of the military. All they need to do is push the racist and sexist and homophobic and transphobic buttons in the culture. And those buttons are huge, brother. You got to, if you push a white supremacist button, oh, Lord, America know exactly what's going on there because white supremacy sits at the center of the founding of the country.
Yeah. So I played the audio of what happened when Obama was called a liar, which is nothing. Nancy Pelosi did not stand up like Mike Johnson and have him escorted out. But here's what happened last night when Al Green stood up.
Small business optimism saw its single largest one-month gain ever recorded, a 41-point jump.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House.
Stop 1 second. Just stop. I want to just narrate this right quick. Did you hear how fast that gavel came in? Did y'all hear that?
True.
The minute Al Green started talking, you heard that gavel. Mike Johnson stood up, hit that gavel, as I said, sooner than right now and quicker than at once. That's how fast they move. Contrast again with what the Democrats didn't do when their president got heckled. Keep going, Miles.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session. Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
That's all you need to hear. He gave him a warning, and 20 seconds later, he said restore order. And 20 more seconds later, get out. That's how Mike Johnson handled Al Green. Doc and I both agree. He stood up with fire last night. I ain't mad at Al Green. That's not my point. My point is the way that the Republicans handled their business last night versus the way Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats didn't when they called Barack Obama a liar to his face. We were talking a bit yesterday, Doc, and I want to give you a chance to opine on this, about the way the Democratic Party seems to be settling into being the minority party, but not being the opposition party. Take it, Doc.
Well, you can't be opposition if you don't have fire, though, brother. And if you're a minority, you're just going to play the professional game of continually engaging in the same kind of procedures, not recognizing that their own rhetoric. I mean, what did Sister Kamala say? What did Biden say? They said Trump was a threat to American democracy. They call him a fascist.
An existential threat, Doc. Yeah.
Exactly. Existential threat. So you didn't really mean it. Well, you end up with the Democratic Party and this leadership. They say all kind of things they don't mean. They're just using rhetoric. These are posing and posturing. There's no serious substance and follow through in that sense. But I tell you another thing too, my brother. I think the Democrats should have walked out with brother.
I totally agree. And
they're sitting down there with these little signs.
That's right. And let me say, I'm sorry.
What is going on? This ain't no Girl Scout, Boy Scout meeting.
Yeah. And here's the thing, Doc. Even if here's the thing that rubbed me raw last night. Even if all the Democrats didn't get up and walk out, what about the members of the Congressional Black Caucus? They let Al Green hang out there by himself. Even if the whole Democratic, caucus doesn't walk out, every Negro, every black person who's in that caucus should have got up, to my mind, and walked out with Al Green, and they didn't do that. I'm watching the faces of all these other black people watch Al Green get escorted out, and nobody walked out with the brother.
That's exactly right. But I mean, we don't have a whole lot of expectations for the Black Congressional Caucus. We pray for them, for their family, but you got levels of cowardliness that's shot through that leadership. Let's just be honest about it. They'll lie for Biden. They'll hide Biden, and they're primarily concerned about both their careers and trying to reproduce their ability to be elected officials. Now, they're not the only ones. That's what it is to be an American politician across the board.
Sure.
For most, not all, but for most. So the fact that the Black Congressional Caucus, and what about the Progressive Caucus? They got 100, one of them. I didn't see them walking out with Al either.
No, it's a damning indictment on the way that
It really is.
where things are moving.
It really is.
All right, even though I hate to do this, in case you did miss it last night, or in case you tuned in to Barber and turned off Trump, we'll talk to Barber again on the backside of Hour 3 about why he did that at the same time. I don't like it, but we'll talk about it. So let me just give you a couple of clips what Trump had to say last night. Miles, give me the clip where Trump is talking about eliminating DEI. I think that's clip number 3. Give it to me.
We believe that whether you are a doctor, an accountant, a lawyer, or an air traffic controller, you should be hired and promoted based on skill and competence, not race or gender. Very important. You should be hired based on merit. And the Supreme Court, in a brave and very powerful decision, has allowed us to do so. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have removed the poison of critical race theory from our public schools, and I signed an order making it the official policy of the United States government that there are only 2 genders, male and female. I also signed an executive order to ban men from playing in women's sports.
So there's Donald Trump laying down his edict, doubling down, if you will, on eliminating DE&I. I only got 60 seconds here now, Doc. A quick comment. We'll continue when we come forward. I guess what Donald Trump is saying is you can't be both black and the most qualified.
Oh, Lord, Trump is the height of white male mediocrity. If he was a black man, he would have been in jail a long time ago with all of his convictions. And if it has to do with merit, the White House would be empty, man.
If it has to do with merit, the White House would be empty right about now. Again, you hear Donald Trump doubling down. As I said, I guess you can't be black and the most qualified. When we come forward, that's Trump on DE&I. When I get an opportunity here in just a few minutes, I should say, I'm going to play for you the clip in case you missed it of him talking about eliminating wokeness. And speaking of which, I woke up this morning. We're heard right now in WOL in D.C., WOLB right now. We're heard in Baltimore City. I woke up to the news this morning, as you probably saw, that big Black Lives Matter that's been painted on the street, the Black Lives Matter square that Muriel Bowser, the mayor of D.C., had painted on the street. I was just in D.C. not long ago. I stayed at a hotel right on that street. Black Lives Matter park, square, painted on the street in yellow letters. Y'all have seen these photos. If you've been to D.C., you know what I'm talking about. If you're in D.C. right now, listening to me, you know what I'm talking about. You may be looking at it right now. So Black Lives Matter painted in the street. They just announced today it's coming up. Muriel Bowser said, I don't want to fight with Donald Trump. I don't want to fight with the Republicans on Capitol Hill. So they're taking Black Lives Matter square off the street. That's over with. Just a few blocks from the White House, but now they're pulling that up a day after he talks about eliminating wokeness. Everybody running scared of Donald Trump. We'll talk about that part when we come forward. Delighted to be in conversation with the eminent Professor Dr. Cornel West on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Trump's Tuesday night address to Congress was the longest ever, highlighting his leadership and plans for the U.S. Several Democrats walked out in protest, and Black Texas Democrat Al Green was escorted out for yelling at Trump. The Supreme Court will decide if Mexico's $10 billion lawsuit against U.S. gun makers can proceed after hearing arguments. Mexico claims U.S. gun makers contribute to gun violence in the country. Both liberals and conservative justices questioned the lawsuit's validity. Washington, D.C.'s Black Lives Matter Plaza will be replaced with a mural project for America's 250th birthday. This follows a House bill to rename the area Liberty Plaza and remove the 2020 mural. And LeBron James, in his 22nd NBA season, became the first player to reach 50,000 combined regular season and postseason points. He achieved the milestone with his first basket against the New Orleans Pelicans on Tuesday.
Get BIN News on Demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Let Express Employment Professionals help you hire for contract or full-time jobs. Forget about recruiting, sifting through resumes, and interviews with unqualified applicants. Go to expresspros.com to find the location near you. That's expresspros.com. LifeSource Whole Home Water Systems filter water from every tap. In honor of their anniversary, they're giving new customers a special offer. Call 1-800-WATER-99 or visit lifesourcewater.com. Warranty and offer restrictions apply.
Is this the Tiger? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Another win for the Lakers, another milestone for LeBron. The Lakers extended their winning streak to 7 games after their 136-115 win over New Orleans at Crypto.com. First 7-game winning streak for the Lakers since February 12, 2021. As for LeBron, he became the first NBA player to score a combined 50,000 points in the regular season and playoffs. The 22-year veteran passed the 50,000 mark on his first shot, a three-pointer with 8 minutes left in the first quarter. LeBron finished with 34 points. He now has 41,871 in the regular season and 8,162 in the playoffs. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Put this man in the Hall of Fame right now. The Clippers have lost 3 straight. They had a 19-point lead in Phoenix at the start of the fourth quarter and couldn't hold it. Phoenix fought back to pull out a 119-117 win. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
There's new reaction following the Trump administration's sweeping efforts to cut the federal workforce.
Fired but not forgotten. The Testimony Project. Bearing witness, breaking silence, building community. KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to amplifying the voices of black federal workers impacted by the mass firings. Rooted in the black tradition of testimony, this initiative ensures that those who served us are not erased from history. Through firsthand accounts, investigative storytelling, and community-driven dialogue, we intend to expose injustice, preserve truth, and demand accountability. If you or someone you know has been forced out of federal employment due to the mass firings, please contact us at info@smileyaudiomedia.com or via the open mic feature on the KBLA 1580 app. We want to hear from you and share your story. KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
You carry a lot. The needs of your family and friends, the responsibilities of work and home, and that doesn't stop when your period starts. New Always Ultra Thin pads are designed to keep up with your busy life. When an unexpected gush hits, you need to trust that your pad has your back and your flow. With new and improved rapid dry technology, Always Ultra Thin now absorbs 3 times faster than the leading size 2 store brand pad, so you can feel cleaner, drier, and fresher. Always Ultra Thin, always gush ready.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
So, Dr. West, you understand why I'm playing this track, don't you?
That's the perfect jam. Dave Brown himself. love your commercials, man. The music always flows with the substance of the conversation, my brother.
Yeah, that's James Brown talking loud and saying nothing. It was
talking loud and saying nothing.
That was the longest speech last night ever by a president. 100 minutes. 100 minutes of hot air from Donald J. Trump talking loud and saying nothing. Dr. Cornell West and I'm Tavis Smiley, by the way, are talking this first hour about this spectacle last night. Let me play one more clip. I can squeeze one more. I got tons of them here, but let me just give you one more, and that's enough. Y'all get the point. So we just played a clip of Donald Trump talking about eliminating DEI. Here he is talking about eliminating wokeness.
We've ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government and indeed the private sector and our military. And our country will be woke no longer. We believe that whether you are a doctor, an accountant, a lawyer, or an air traffic controller, you should be hired and promoted based on skill and competence, not race or gender. Very important.
So there you hear Donald Trump. I want to give you that woke part because they love attacking this woke thing. I'm laughing because I heard Dr. West give a speech about a year ago, as a matter of fact, last February, and he was making a point about this young generation. It says, stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. Doc said, no, I'm 70. I got to get some sleep every now and then. And so should you. Get some sleep. You got to fortify yourself, said Dr. West. You got to fortify yourself. So you do need some sleep. But that's not the kind of attack on woke that Donald Trump is talking about, Dr. West.
That's right. We don't want to suffer from insomnia, just staying woke all the time. But the problem with Trump, with his gangster self, is that he actually applauds stupidity and ignorance and sleepwalking. See, so when you're sleepwalking, it means that you're afraid to wake up. And the woke movement of critical race theory, and I'm blessed to write the foreword to the text, was there's a legacy of 244 years of barbaric white supremacist slavery and another 100 years of Jim and Jane Crow, which is a form of neo-slavery with black folk being lynched every 2.5 days for half a century. And we ought to be woke enough to be sensitive to the effects of that history. And if you want to be sleepwalking about that history, it means you have no interest whatsoever in treating black people fairly, with dignity, and with justice. And the question becomes, okay, if you do away with DEI, you do away with affirmative action, how are you going to ensure that black people are treated fairly and justly when they've been here 400 years and been treated in an atrocious manner? That's what woke is about. And he doesn't want to deal with that. Why? Because he wants to reinforce the sleepwalking. And it's very consistent for them to take off the Black Lives Matter, brother. Because when you gangsterize America under Trump, Black lives don't matter. So they might as well just be honest about it. Erase it. Eliminate it. Be candid about it. Go on and tell the truth about your gangster and your thuggish activity.
Well, if you have not seen the Black Lives Matter square, those big, broad and bold yellow letters painted on the street, just a few blocks from the White House, you better get to D.C. quick because they're taking it up. There will be no more Black Lives Matter square. That announced today from Muriel Bowser, the mayor of D.C., a day after Donald Trump goes in on DEI and wokeness. Doc, I mentioned at the top of this conversation that you are the co-author of the new book, Truth Matters, a dialogue on fruitful disagreement in an age of division. Clearly, as we saw last night, we are in an age of division, but also clearly, as we saw last night, in some ways it doesn't seem in this American moment that truth really does matter, Doc.
No, it's true. No, Brother Robbie and I are trying to ensure that truth gains some kind of foothold. The condition of truth is to allow suffering to speak, but not just the truth, but its relation to love, because justice is really what love looks like in public. And the saddest thing about Trump and his other folk is that it's clear that they seem to suffer from the incapacity to love. And now, you almost have pity for folk who haven't cultivated the capacity to love. You know what I mean?
But Tina Turner. But you know, Tina Turner asked that question, though, Doc. What's love got to do with it? What's your answer? What's love got to do with it?
Oh, love always got something to do with it, though, brother. Because even when you're a gangster, if your life is joyless and empty, and all you have is material toys and power, you might have spectacle, but in the end, you have very little meaning. You have very little serious affection and sensitivity coming at you, which means you live a life of a zombie with all your big dollars. And that's the history of Black people. We might be broke as the 10 Commandments financially, but we got a spiritual richness. We got a cultural richness. That's why we can still sing Full of Fire out of Jim Crow, Arkansas with the singing Al Green.
Yeah.
Even though he's come from a people who dealing with the lynching and dealing with the degradation, dealing with the economic exploitation. So the spiritual issues and the moral issues must never be pushed aside in the name simply of just power and resources. Now we need political power and resources, but if we lose our spiritual power, we lose our moral power, then we just as gangsterized as him. And one of the reasons why we don't have the kind of Black leadership, you are right about Brother Barber. We both love Brother Barber, but he and Roland and the others, they've been so tied to the Democratic Party. They've been so tied to trying to deal with the mainstream that they come up with strategies and tactics that are not as free as they ought. And you can't be free if you're on any plantation. You got to get off of every plantation. And that's what it means to actually be a freedom fighter at the deepest level.
The Roland that Dr. West just referenced, I assume, is Roland Martin. So William Barber and Roland Martin are the names that Doc just referenced. It's not even just the two of them. It's Jamie Harrison. Jamie Harrison, the former chair of the DNC, he got it caught up in this mess, telling folk to tune Trump out and to look at alternative media. I just don't know what that strategy is all about. I made a joke yesterday, and I was kidding, but maybe not so much, that Trump last night could have signed an executive order making us once again 3/5 of a person. he could have pushed us back into slavery last night. If we done turned him out. We watching Barber, and we wake up this morning and we back in chains again because we weren't paying attention last night. See, that's what they mean by stay woke. I mean, Dr. King, as you know, Dr. King talked about, staying awake in this era. You got to stay awake, and you got to stay alert, and you got to stay aware. And I don't like this. I don't like this notion that we should have tuned out last night. We couldn't be having this conversation last night if we hadn't tuned in, Doc. So it's not just Roland. It's not just Barber. It was the former chair of the DNC. What do you make of this advice to tune out last night?
I mean, Brother Jamie, he was one of the heads of the Democratic Party plantation, man.
Yeah.
He made it difficult to deal with the issues of poverty and homelessness and mass incarceration and whole host of crucial issues that affect poor and Black folk. Why? Because the Democratic Party is just so tied to big money and tied to trying to cross over and relate with the moderates, the Cheneys and others that resulted in such a colossal failure. And it's a sad thing that it did, because we ended up with this wholesale gangsterization project of Trump.
Yeah.
But you are absolutely right, though, brother. You're hitting the nail on the head there. But like you say, we do love the brothers and sisters.
Yeah,
but they get truncated visions and narrow strategies. Man, we got to have a massive strike and shut this country down. Man, that's really what you have to do.
Let me come to that notion when we come forward. I will talk to William Barber, as I said earlier, in the last half hour of today's program. So he is our friend and brother, beloved. Doc loves him. I love him. Jesse Jackson Jr. was on yesterday. He expressed his love. We all love Barber. We just think, some of us at least think, not everybody, some of us think that was a bad decision last night to tell Black folks to tune this thing out. We need to be aware and awake and alert. And I don't think you do that by putting your hands in the sand. Now is not the time to put your head in the sand. I'm sorry, Jamie Harrison. Y'all were wrong about that as far as I'm concerned. But you heard Doc talk earlier about empire. My read of history suggests to me that there is no empire. Doc mentioned those 70. There is no empire in the history of the world that at some point did not have a reckoning. Empires do fall. The question is, if I can borrow a phrase, whether the empire will strike back. Y'all see what I did there? Will the empire strike back after what we saw last night? That's the question for Cornel West when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From the Mert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Think about your mentors and idols, the people who inspire you the most. While it may look like they have all the answers, they don't. But they do know when to ask questions and seek the support they need. In a world that glorifies hyper-independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better with a support system. Therapy is a great way to find a consistent source of support in your life, so you can break free from the outdated belief that seeking help is a sign of weakness. BetterHelp has experienced therapists ready to help you with challenges ranging from anxiety and depression to relationships and stress. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. You can even send your therapist a message anytime something comes up. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABCRadio today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABCRadio.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone, and should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Who cares about the black community in Altadena? We do. On Saturday, March 8th at 10 a.m., it's the premiere of Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr. This new weekly show will explore the deep roots and resilience of Altadena's black community as we track its recovery and reimagine its future. From relief efforts to rebuilding, we're raising up voices, stories, and solutions to build back Black Altadena better and stronger than ever. It's Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr, every Saturday at 10 a.m. beginning Saturday, March 8th, with an encore presentation, Sundays at noon.
James Farr, the man who is the voice for Black Los Angeles.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Made fresh daily in the Mert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley, Dr. Cornel West. Doc, you were giving us a history lesson earlier in this program, as you always do whenever you show up. As I said, I've been honored for almost 40 years of my life to sit at the feet, literally, of Dr. West and learn from him as his little brother. As we travel around the world, just I'm taking in everything that if he's putting it down, I'm picking it up. And so that's my way with Cornel West. And you were giving us a history lesson earlier about the 70 empires. And my question is, after what we saw last night, will the empire strike back? Put another way, is Donald Trump going to go so far that even those people being hurt by him, those who voted for him in these red states, may start to rise up?
Yeah, well, I want to say I've learned so much from you, brother. You've been a joy in my life, and we've both been blessed in a mighty, mighty way. Cracked vessels that we are, just trying to love our crooked neighbors with our crooked hearts. Mm-hmm. But the Martin Luther King Jr., who you and I love so very dearly, he used to say, I can hear the God of the universe saying, I will break the back of your imperial power if you don't come to terms with poverty and militarism and racism and materialism. And what does that mean? That means treating the least of these with dignity, treating working people, poor people, black people. And if you don't, there's going to be blowback. And even some of the folk who have been seduced by Trump, he's going to crush them. The tariffs are going to crush them. The cutbacks are going to crush them. These cutbacks in federal jobs, disproportionately black and brown workers, but many of the white workers who voted for Trump, they will have to deal with that blowback too. And this is going to be the real challenge, you see, when things really hit the fan with constitutional crisis, when the courts tell Trump to do X and he refuses to do it. Mm-hmm. Then he's pushing the country toward a civil war. We're already in a cold civil war. but he's pushing toward a civil war. And we haven't had that since the 1860s. And believe me, brother, we don't have an Abe Lincoln around. We don't have too many Frederick Douglasses and Harriet Tubmans either. But we don't have no Abe Lincoln around. So we in a world of trouble, but we must never, ever give up hope. We must be encouraged, be of great courage, and recognize we come from a great Black people who have known worse than this. We just got to get fortified, as you say.
Yeah, and I was quoting you, fortified. So as I say, quoting you, when we come forward in our remaining moments with Dr. Cornell West, there are a couple things I want to get at in these last 5 minutes. We raised this issue yesterday, and so I had a chance to watch it last night, and I'm not going to lie, I was not impressed. Senator Alyssa Slotkin gave the Democratic official response last night. And we raised this question yesterday that I want to give Doc a chance to respond to. How it is that the Democratic Party in this moment, with all the attacks on DE&I, all the attacks on woke, all the attacks on immigrant, with all due respect, chose a white woman when white women did not show up for Kamala Harris. With all that I've just said, they chose a white woman to give the response last night. See, that's the kind of tone deafness that these Democrats have that just troubles me. We'll talk about that part when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Got 4.5 minutes left with Dr. Cornell West, who I am always delighted to be in conversation with. So Doc, while Donald Trump spent 100 minutes last night trolling the Democrats, and that's what he did, He trolled them. He made a mockery of them. He laughed in their faces, called them everything but children of God. He just trolled the Democrats last night. When it's all said and done, the Democrats put up a white woman. And again, I ain't hating on white women. I love the white sisters. But Senator Alyssa Slotkin rather, was the Democratic response last night. Back to our earlier conversation, I just think in a moment like this where DEI is under attack, he's going after wokeness, he's going after immigrants, for this Democratic Party, with all of these colors, this, as Jesse Jackson would call it, this rainbow coalition. They put a white woman up in this moment when white women abandoned their nominee in this last election. Can you make sense of that?
Well, that's a powerful point. Nobody else is making that point. But no, Sister Slotkin, they had her in part because, one, she won, and she won a state that Trump himself won. And secondly, as a white Jewish sister, that they're saying we're going to be true to ourselves to the degree to which we have somebody who will not say a mumbling word about corporate-dominated Democratic Party, won't say a mumbling word about Gaza and the genocide, won't say a mumbling word about poverty. They're not going to put Brother Bernie Sanders up there as a white Jewish brother. No, because he's going to hit those issues in a very important way. He may not even talk about genocide, but he'll talk about withholding funds.
Sure.
So he's been very strong on that in the last few months. But they're being true to who they are. And the Democratic Party is represented by Sister Slotkin and the others who won't say a word about these crucial issues. And somebody like Brother Bernie, who works with them but is not a member of it, they bring him in, but he's not speaking for them. No, not at all. The sad thing is, too many black folk just believe the okie doke and still want to go with the corporate dominated party, though, brother. It's beyond redemption. There's no possibilities of it being a liberating force to the degree to which we need for our children. 2 out of 5 of our black children living in poverty, richest nation in the history of the world. That's a crime against humanity too. Where's the focus on them?
I mentioned Sylvester Turner earlier. Sylvester Turner, the longtime mayor of Houston, took over the seat that Sheila Jackson Lee had, and she took it over from Mickey Leland. He took it over from Barbara Jordan. A lot of history in that seat. Barbara Jordan, Mickey Leland, Sheila Jackson Lee, Sylvester Turner, after he serves as mayor, goes into Congress, just there a few weeks really, is at the speech last night, was tweeting before the speech, after the speech, goes to the hospital and dies. So the CBC lost, sadly, a member last night in Sylvester Turner. I've got a tight 60 seconds, Doc. I will leave it to you to close this first hour. And my question is very simply this. In this moment, how do we fortify ourselves?
First, we just pray for his family and pray for all the families of people who are catching hell here and around the world, and always recognize that we must accent remembrance, reverence, and resistance. We must remember not just our grandmama's prayers, but remember all of those who sacrificed and served to allow us to be who we are and where we are. And we have a reverence beyond our ego, so we push back our narcissism and especially our fear, and we resist in order to authorize a better world for our children, everybody's children. But we begin on the chocolate side of town, because usually we chocolate folk are the last ones thought about or attended to.
Ain't nobody like him. Look up Truth Teller in the dictionary. You'll see a picture of Cornel West. Doc, it's always good to have you on. We'll do it again. Look forward to
love you.
Love you much, man. Look forward to hearing your show, Truth Time, later today. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Trump's court will decide if Mexico's $10 billion lawsuit against U.S. gun makers can proceed after hearing arguments.